start to the day.
At 9 a.m. every weekday morning with
Mahima's
Good Morning Bay.
आप सभी लोग हमारी तरफ से एक प्यार भरा नमस्ते
Namaskar.
वनकम
Namaskara.
खुशामदीद
Assalamu alaikum.
सत श्री अकाल
మీకు అందరికీ వందనము.
जय स्वामी नारायण
जय श्री कृष्ण.
जय जिनेंद्र
हमारे इस्माइली भाई बंधुओं को बोलते हैं याली मदद.
मलाली मदद बोलते हुए सारे फीजी बदल बन के नीसा बल्ला बनजान हम आ गए हैं आपके प्यारे महिमा के द्वारे मैं से फालतू बाबा
And of course myself Faltu Rani लेकर आपके लिए एक और drive time show that's going to make it totally exciting and totally mastani Bandajani.
So the Bandajan, and right now let me tell you Bandajan, a quick look at what's happening around the world. नहीं उससे पहले what's happening in our area Bandajan with our Raste Ka Haal, which we give you guys totally, I promise you, सस्ते में, no charge, absolutely nothing.
It's time for the Bandu Traffic Update. Call us from wherever you are at 408-912-2479.
And of course, Banjan, traffic के साथ में मौसम भी awesome है. I'm not kidding, Banjan. Traffic is still that, the situation of COVID where the volume of traffic is low and doesn't mean that the incidents have gone down. There are a lot of accidents going on, unfortunately. There's a report of an accident with injuries on 101 southbound exiting at De La Cruz Boulevard in San Jose. The left lane is where the incident has happened. CHP is on the scene. Good news is the fact that the traffic is not impacted. As in, the traffic is still in motion. There's no congestion there, so it's a good thing because of the fact that I think we probably are in that sheltering in place kind of level. It is still on, but we're still in the red tier. It is not that we are not. I think 1 in 6 people actually have got vaccinated, so obviously going back to work is still out of the question for a few more days, I suppose. We'll give you updates on that for sure in our local update and US updates on what's happening to coronavirus. Speaking of traffic again, high winds, 92 eastbound and westbound on the bridge, San Mateo Bridge. There's a warning of high winds in that region. Watch out for that area. High wind generally, people actually ask me once actually, why do I share about high winds on the bridges? Because people don't use a sail and everything, right?
Yeah.
I should say don't open your sail and all, right?
Yeah.
But actually high wind impacts the vehicles, by the way.
Yeah.
It does sway, and if you're not careful about it, if you're having a bigger vehicle like a SUV or something like that, chances of it going off the road also is off the track also something which you got to be mindful about. That's why we actually shared this particular high wind advisory for people out there. Apart from that, Bay Area wise, if you look at Banjan, pretty much smooth and nice. Weather is awesome outside. It's kind of cold, of course, in the lower 50s. Maximum go like lower 60s, I guess. It's going to be sunny all day today. That's one thing good about this. We're going to have no signs of rain the entire week, actually. Even Saturday is going to be awesome. The Saturday is going to be our gratitude in the garden. So it has to be awesome anyway. So a little bit of wind, no high wind advisory, or rather it's going to be windy tomorrow, I suppose, probably. But anyways, otherwise, there's no clouds to be seen anywhere. It's going to be sunny, California, all the way. Oh my God, it's so awesome, right, Fadrani? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Jan, right now, that was your traffic update of what's happening. But let's go jump into our news headlines for you guys. Fadrani, what do you have as news for our bandus today?
Well, one of the biggest headlines is that a children's book on Dr. Anthony Fauci is going to be arriving in June.
What?
Yeah. And no, it's
Fauci
not,
book?
It's not called Anthony and the terrible, horrible, not good, very bad coronavirus. It's not that. But supposedly there's a children's book that's arriving on Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Oh, on him?
Yes. A children's book on him.
He was pretty popular anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought that was something that would put a smile on all of your faces. And of course, let's tell you, Bandujan, I'm going to head directly into the news, Alto Baba, right?
Sure, yeah. Hey, it's all up to you, Faldwani. You can do it the way you want to do it.
Well,
go to the news. Go to directly news. It's fine.
Yeah. The U.S. Supreme Court on Monday agreed to consider the U.S. Justice Department's bid to reinstate the Boston Marathon bomber. Remember, it didn't happen so long ago. Yeah. Zhokhar Sarnev's death sentence for helping carrying out the 2013 attack that killed 3 people and wounded more than 260 others. The department's appeal, filed before former President Donald Trump left office in January. Before he left office, this was filed, and it challenged a lower court's decision ordering a new trial over the sentence Sarnev should receive for the death penalty eligible crimes for which he was convicted. Joe Biden's administration has given no indication that it plans to reverse the Trump administration's approach to the case. The United States air travelers topped 1.5 million on Sunday for the first time since March 2020. As air travel continues to rebound from a pandemic-related drop, the U.S. Transportation Security Administration said on Monday. COVID-19 devastated air travel demand, as you know, with U.S. airline passengers down about 60% in 2020, but with a growing number of Americans being vaccinated, demand in advance bookings have started to rise in the recent weeks. A DOJ official is saying that there is evidence to charge sedition in the U.S. Capitol assault, according to a new 60 Minutes expose. Federal investigators have found evidence that would likely allow the government to file sedition charges against some of those involved in the deadly Jan 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol. It's ironic, Punajan. Remember, after the assault, there were all these protective fencing that went up around the Capitol building.
Now, what happened? Who pays for those things?
Well, the government, obviously. Our money.
It's not the government, the people, taxpayers.
Correct. So now those, as of today, those fences have started coming down.
Good. Can we borrow a few of them, please?
Although, be quiet. Well, either ways, let's tell you, Banajan, that on CBS 60 Minutes interview, a Justice Department official actually said that there is evidence to prove that there was sedition.
Oh, wow.
I believe the facts do support those charges, said acting U.S. Attorney Michael Sherwin for the District of Columbia. I think that as we go forward, more facts will support that. And of course, speaking of sedition and speaking of those assaults and attacks, let's tell you that investigators in a criminal probe of former U.S. President Donald Trump's real estate business are combing through millions of pages of newly acquired records with an eye towards identifying witnesses who can bring the documents to life for a jury, say 2 people familiar with the probe. Some of the case's key figures are well known. Trump's former attorney and fixer Michael Cohen met on Friday with prosecutors in the Manhattan District Attorney's office. His 8th such interview, and District Attorney Cyrus Vance Jr.'s team is interested in getting testimony from Trump Organization's longtime Chief Financial Officer Alan Weisselberg, according to 2 people familiar with the investigation. Let's come closer to the Bay Area, Banajan, and give you some local news updates. San Francisco, Marin, and Santa Clara counties will soon be entering the orange tier, further easing restrictions for more businesses. The orange tier changes are expected to take effect as early as day after tomorrow, that is Wednesday. San Francisco's health indicators continue to improve with COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations dropping steadily, San Francisco's COVID Command Center said in a statement. And in the meanwhile, California classrooms are adopting the CDC guideline of the 3-foot distance. Right, Altubaba, you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Students in California classrooms can sit 3 feet apart instead of 6 feet under new guidelines adopted by the state as school officials figure out how to reopen campuses closed for almost a year during the coronavirus pandemic. The state recommendations, according to what was announced on Saturday, came a day after federal health officials relaxed social distancing guidelines for schools nationwide. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention advises at least 3 feet of space between desks in most schools, even in towns and cities where community spread is high, so long as teachers and students wear masks and take other precautions. And speaking of schools, Pandajan, the LA Teachers Union has finally agreed to reopen schools from April. Public schools in Los Angeles will reopen next month after the teachers union approved a plan for physical and hybrid return to classes. Many schools continue to teach students remotely more than a year after the novel coronavirus prompted widespread closures across the United States, and the Biden administration has been aiming to reopen in-person learning for millions of public school students without sparking coronavirus outbreaks. But like you mentioned before, Altu Baba, one of the biggest concerns is the fact that so many thousands are thronging Miami beaches for spring break.
Yeah, I thought one of them actually, not Miami, it wasn't Hawaii, no, Florida, where they actually...
Miami, Florida.
Oh, sorry. In Florida, they actually there was a curfew, right? They said like nobody's supposed to come out after 8 o'clock.
Yeah, something like that. But then you know what? Thousands and thousands and thousands of people are flocking to Miami Beach.
Wow.
Yes, throngs of spring breakers are out there, and things got really ugly this weekend when the police actually had to fire pepper balls into the crowds.
What?
Yes, and they arrested dozens of people.
And we found out that people actually had their hot dogs open so they can catch the pepper balls.
Ew. Altu Baba,
What?
what are you talking about?
You never know.
Okay, anyway, so
Pepper and hot dogs go well.
those were the news from across the United States and locally in the Bay Area. We can go into the world news, but do you want to give us a quick jhalak of the Jankani Ka Kira today, Altu
Of
Baba?
course, Paltrani, always giving jhalaks of what's happening with our Gariya Kida Brajan. And it's a beautiful song which actually resonates very well with everybody out there, because right now, Brajan, the way sunny California looks, not like Florida, it's like, Suraj ki baah mein ab hai ye zindagi. From the movie Brajan, Zindagi na milegi dobara. And इसमें म्यूजिक कौन था? शंकर साउंड लाइव Brajan. लिरिक्स कौन है? अरे अख्तर के पापा, फरहान अख्तर के डैडी, अबूजान. Who sang the song though? That's a question for Faltrani, who actually is seeing stars. Don't
Is
look
it
at
Nikhil
me.
Duzza?
Hey, this movie came out almost 10 years
Oh,
ago. Dude.
it's Loy.
I know.
Loy Mendoza,
Yeah.
Clinton Cerejo.
Clinton Cerejo's voice mostly, but a little bit of Lois and this. But it's been 10 years since song came out, movie came out. I think we require to have a sequel.
Yes.
Come on, you're listening to us. I know Farhan. Come on, yaar, record. No, sorry. So Farhan actually busy. He listens to us during the day, that Pam Pam show. But Zoya listens to us in the morning. Good morning, babe. So Zoya, come on, we'll come more movie of this one. Part 2 of Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara or Zindagi Mil Gayi Dobara. Because coronavirus is over, right?
Let's do one with girls.
What?
Yeah. Girls going out for a
Nobody's gonna
bachelor.
watch it. What are you talking about?
Okay, fine.
Alright, Baljan, बहुत हो गया सूरज की बाहों में अब है जिंदगी. Let's go and check out what's happening in the world. Faltrani, come on, let's take it away.
U.S. President Joe Biden dispatched U.S. envoys to Mexico and Guatemala on Monday for migration talks as he struggles to contain a burgeoning humanitarian challenge along the southwest U.S. border with Mexico. White House border coordinator Roberta Jacobson will travel to Mexico for talks with Mexican officials aimed at developing an effective and humane plan of action to manage migration, White House spokeswoman Emily Horn said. A huge fire that swept through Rohingya refugee camps in southern Bangladesh on Monday, destroying thousands of homes. Officials and witnesses have said, Manajan. A video shot by a resident showed a blaze ripping through the Balukhali camp in Cox's Bazaar, with people scrambling to recover their possessions amid burning shanties and tents. Fire services, rescue and response teams, and volunteers are at the scene trying to control the fire and prevent it from spreading further, said Louis Donovan, spokesperson for UN Refugee Agency UNHCR in Cox's Bazaar, where refugees live in ramshackle huts. The United States on Monday announced sanctions against two more Chinese officials in connection with serious human rights abuses in China's Xinjiang region, where Washington says ethnic Muslims have been the victims of genocide. The U.S. Treasury Department named the officials as Wang Junzheng, Secretary of the Party Committee of the Xinjiang Production and Construction Corps, and Chen Minggu, Director of the Xinjiang Public Security Bureau. The two were the two were targeted under the U.S. Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act. It said Chinese authorities will continue to face consequences as long as atrocities occur in Xinjiang. Andrea Gacki, Director of the Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control, said in a statement. In the meanwhile, the European Union has also slapped on sanctions on 11 individuals linked to the February 1st coup in Myanmar, its most significant response since the military began suppressing protests violently. The EU's foreign ministers adopted the travel bans and asset freezes at a meeting in Brussels. The 27-nation bloc already had an arms embargo on Myanmar and has maintained sanctions against some senior military officers since 2018. And in news from India, Bandhujan, there is some major news that's happening with regard to a sordid drama that's rocking India's finance capital in Mumbai. A senior Mumbai police officer filed a complaint in the Supreme Court on Monday accusing a state government minister of corruption, the latest development in a bizarre case that has transfixed the international media for weeks now. Each sordid revelation has chipped away at public confidence in the functioning of a vital arm of government in the country's financial capital, said an editorial in the Indian Express, one of the country's leading English newspapers. Parambir Singh, the former head of police in Mumbai, filed a petition seeking an unbiased, uninfluenced, impartial and fair investigation into corruption allegations against Anil Deshmukh, Interior Minister of Maharashtra state that is home to the city. Deshmukh has obviously denied any kind of impropriety, with claims of graft, a suspicious death, a bomb threat against India's richest man. The case has the hallmarks of a thriller made by the country's Bollywood film industry, dominating TV networks and newspaper front pages and trending on social media for almost a month. For those of you who are not keeping up with Good Morning Bay or have not heard that news story, on February 25th, a car laden with explosives was actually found near the Mumbai home of the
Ambani.
richest man, in India, which is Mukesh Ambani.
But again, they kind of showed how much they are strapped for money, because cost-cutting, they didn't have trigger, I suppose.
Oh God, no. The purported owner of the vehicle apparently was later found dead, with police treating his death as suspicious.
Obviously.
Yeah, the Sachin Vaze, a Mumbai police officer, was arrested on March 13 by India's Federal National Investigation Agency in connection with the bomb threat. He, of course, denies any wrongdoing. So it's like major twists and turns in the case, Bandhujan.
Ram Gopal Verma is on the case already, Bandhujan.
Yeah.
To make one more movie of it.
I don't know. But Singh, the person who filed this petition in the top court, wrote an 8-page letter to Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray and leveled a barrage of corruption charges against Deshmukh. They say that Deshmukh wanted 100 crore rupees a month, apparently. And that is part of the reason why this whole corruption thing is unfolding right now.
Huh.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, let's also tell you, in India, the government has actually, the centre has said that the gap between the first and second doses of the AstraZeneca Oxford University vaccine, Covishield vaccine, should be increased to 6 to 8 weeks from the current 28 days. In a letter to the states or union territories, the Union Health Ministry said that experts have recommended that the gap should now be increased between the doses from 28 days to 6 to 8 weeks. To avoid any kind of health complications. And of course, India's National Film Awards have been announced. Sushant Singh Rajput's Chichore wins the best film, as it should. It was an amazing movie. Manikarnika earns Kangana Ranaut her 4th National Award. And if you want to catch up on the full list, Bandhujan, you can go to mediamahima.com. that's pretty much what we have in news today for you, Banajan. In tech news, of course, US Supreme Court has rebuffed Facebook's appeal in tracking users. So you can get more information on all of that on mediamahima.com. That's all we have time for on this morning's Good Morning Bay. Here is Suraj Ki Baahon Mein, the final iteration of our Gaane Ka Kida. Have yourselves a fantastic, wonderful, magnificent Monday.
बातों में रोशनी सूरज की बाहों में अब है ये जिंदगी गिरने हैं सांसों में बातों में रोशनी पाते हम है जिंदगी एक बार क्यों न करे खुद हम इसका प्यार जाने किसका है हमें इंतजार कि जिंदगी यही है और यही सूरज की बाहों में अब है ये जिंदगी गिरने हैं सांसों में